Hello Southies, welcome back to the channel, and if you're brand new, my name is Cece and this is my channel 25th and South, where I play The Sims. So in today's video I am doing a speed build. This is going to be a community speed build actually, and I'm kind of excited because I built this particular build for an upcoming Tumblr story that I am working on. And it will feature a lot of different characters, but this particular build is meant to be kind of a workspace for one of my characters, Jason Mallory. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I did a speed build, an apartment renovation, I guess you would call it, called 2 Tiny Studios, and Jason is one of the Sims that lives in one of those studio apartments, and he is a photographer. He is a freelance photographer and he gets contracted for different jobs and things, but since he does live in a very small space, I figured that he would want to utilize a much larger space in order to take particular photos of particular people. And so I created this place called Carson and Peter's Ad Agency, and it is, well, originally I have it set up in one of the uptown apartments, one of those huge apartments, because I thought that space is so big. I never know how to build in them. I think I've only ever built one house, or one, I've only ever made it residential maybe once or twice, but it's just, they're so massive. And so I thought, oh, well, it would probably be good as a workspace. And I don't think you can change the apartments to anything other than apartments, but originally in my mind I thought, well, whoever lives here will be maybe the CEO or the president, and I'll create a club. That way people that, work here can be a part of the club. But then I thought, no, that's a little bit too much, and I want this space to feel really lively. So I actually, as you'll see halfway through the video, move this entire space over to where the Starlight Lounge is. It was also in the uptown, and I made it a library, and I think that worked a lot better for what I wanted. But as you can see, I already put the setup and everything. I've sort of split up all the rooms and on all of that. Now I'm working on the reception area, and pretty much, even though I do move this building, the interior all stays the same. And then once I move it to the Starlight Lounge, I added exterior, which you'll see later. And I'm proud of both spaces. Kind of the mentality that I had for this build was sort of a minimalist vibe, but I wanted it to feel really cozy. I love looking at various Pinterest photos, especially of office spaces, and I love the kind of minimalist vibe that a lot of more newer office spaces are doing, but they're all really black and white and kind of sterile and really stark. And while I understand it's all about productivity, they don't want people to feel too comfortable, I felt like you could do that and still make the place feel comfortable and feel homey, and still make it feel productive. And so right now I'm working on kind of not necessarily the reception area, but just sort of an area where you would sit and maybe talk with clients and things like that in kind of a more chill setting. Because as you will notice when I start working on the actual workspaces, there aren't traditional desks and things like that within the workspace, and you'll see that soon. I don't know why I'm stopping, but it did take me a minute to find the right couch for this particular area. But Carson and Peter's Ad Agency, again, it is meant to be a ad agency where they do digital media, ad, and maybe some print media. And really, Jason just sort of utilizes this space for the large photo studio that is also here. And so when he's has a project that he has to do and he needs to utilize maybe a studio, it's not something for outdoors, this is where he'll go. And I imagine that the management want to hire him on as a full-time photographer, but he's like, no, I don't want to be hired on as full-time. I just give me freelance work so that I can go about doing my own thing. But here I'm working on the actual space where all the employees really work. And so kind of the idea was I wanted it to feel nice and homey, but I still wanted to give it that minimalistic vibe. I love that kind of concept of a workspace feeling very clean and not cluttered, but for everyone to have their own space, and it still feel like, oh, this is my corner, this is my space, but the policy would be everybody's stuff's got to be kept away, just so that people are able to think without a whole lot of clutter around. But then you have these really homey looking rugs, and all the walls are done up in that kind of wood paneling, so where it does feel cozy, and really just warm tones throughout. And everyone has a laptop, obviously, and I really tried my best not to clutter up this space too much. Like, I probably could have stopped here, but I thought, no, I want this place to feel like, when you're at work, you spend more time at work than you do at home. So I wanted people to still feel like, this is a place where they can invest in. And so I just added a few more decorations. I thought, oh, well, you got to be able to put, your bag or maybe your snacks. So I put those little cabinets from Get to Work down there, but it's still done in a way where, as an employee, you're not dragging your whole life and plopping it on these desks or in this space. I did watch this really cool video where, I don't remember what the company did, but the whole concept of the company was all the workspaces were free for all. So there was no assigned desk. You just kind of sat down, and if you were done with this space, then you had to take everything with you. And I kind of, like I said, I get that, but that felt like, I feel like it really wouldn't work here. I think it was a business that was definitely overseas in Europe. And I was like, that's not going to work for here. You need to have a space where you feel this is your zone. I mean, imagine in high school when you don't have assigned seats, everyone still sits in the same spot, right? Even, the cafeteria, everyone sits in the same spot. We are habit creatures. We like having a space where we feel comfortable, and this is where we are. And and that concept is everywhere. Even in, like, for those of you who go to church, you might notice the same people sit in the same spot every Sunday, and there's no assigned seating. It's just human nature. But I still wanted it to feel like, very kind of minimalistic, not cluttered, just very bare minimum things on top of the desk. And I wanted the space, I wanted you to be able to look out and see from one end of the room to the next and see everyone being productive. And then I wanted there to be a little break area, nook, not really a kitchen, but just a place where you could heat up your food and get coffee and, get some popcorn. I think that's the popcorn machine. That's either the popcorn machine or the ice cream machine. I know I didn't want, again, too much clutter. And then this over here is just kind of a space where you could go sit and eat. These people do work in the city, so I would imagine that probably when they're going to go to lunch, they go out to lunch. At least when I first started putting this particular build together, that was my thought process, that they probably are not going to sit in the office. But for those people who want to save a little bit of money, or they want to kind of work through their lunch, okay, they bring their lunch and then they have a space away from their desk where they can eat it and just kind of chill out and not feel so stressed. So that is what this setup over here is, and I don't know, I like it. I thought it was really great, and of course I had to put that logo up, which sort of informed the name Karsten M. Peters Agency, because that logo, which I think it's from Dine Out, but I also want to say it's from Get to Work. It looks like it's a C. So that's where that comes from. And minimum artwork through this build. Again, I put a lot of these magazines on the table because I imagine that these are either magazines where they have ads from the company in them, or they are mock-ups for ads. This room that I'm working on right here is meant to be a place where you just have a lot of products, a lot of I started off just putting a lot of clothing products, which I guess you could in your mind say this is a fashion magazine, because I kind of think of the Devil Wears Prada, and they have that huge sort of products room. But I was really, when I was putting this together, thinking of this build as being a ad agency. And this is the photo studio where I utilize, I want to say mostly Moschino or Moschino stuff pack. Of course, if you don't have that pack, you can also use the Get to Work photo booth, which I love that one. But I think with this one, you get so many more different kind of poses and things. And maybe they updated the photo booth, or the principles of that photo booth are the same with this one. I have no idea. I haven't really played around with either photo booths that much. I know my personal gameplay, I have a sim who's a photographer, and I utilize the Get to Work photo booth for all of his projects. And this was before we got the freelance career, and being a photographer was an option. He made all of his money off of photos. And so this area that I'm working on right here is where you would put models, especially if you're, depending on what products you are, you might want to have actual models, and that's the setup for there. Now, I did, as I said in the beginning, set this place up to be a library. So with libraries, of course, kids are walking around. So you can always imagine that those children are probably child actors or child models, and so they're walking around, getting ready for photo shoots and things. But like I said, people didn't really, I think another good lot trait that you could, or a lot that you could utilize is a cafe. Now, you'd have to probably fit in a cafe stall, and when I move the build to the Starlight space, there is space out there for a cafe. I've utilized it not as a cafe, but as a bar, and you'll see later why, and I'll explain why, because I think it'll be easier to explain when you actually see it. And then you could have it set up like that. This is a conference room area, just a small conference room. I love office buildings where there's windows. There's a feeling of transparency when you can sort of see into the conference room or see into the boss's room. I kind of feel like, for me, this is also sort of a dream office space, because I don't work in a profession where I would ever be in an office like this at all. I work in a very sort of stark kind of office space. It is not pretty at all. And I don't have a desk or an office for what I do. I drive around all the time. And so it's not glamorous at all. But, in a perfect world, if I ever wanted to do something else with my life, I imagine that I would want to work in a setup like this. And again, I got insecure about, is there enough clutter? And I think I tried to put more clutter on the desk and ended up taking off. But I did want to create some actual offices. So this office is a corner office. You can imagine maybe a vice president or some kind of, I don't know, not top management. And as you saw, I put that Murphy bed in here. That was also with me thinking that I was going to keep the build here. I wanted to put a bed in it because I thought with a residential space, you at least need a bed. If I did have a sim living here permanently, I wanted to give them a space to sleep. But I don't, in the end, keep a Murphy bed. Now, for gameplay purposes, you might want to put in a Murphy bed and maybe do a little bit of office scandal with the boss or something like that. I don't know. Just if you're someone that likes to really make dramatic stories out of your gameplay. But I use a lot of tiny living in this space for the furniture. And again, I wanted to keep the offices really simple. There are bathrooms in here. I cut all of the bathrooms out. As you can tell, this video is long. I debated splitting it up into 2 parts, but quite honestly, I didn't want to do that. So hopefully you'll watch it all the way through. It's not gonna hurt my feelings if you don't, because I know it is long, but you might be like me. I like watching longer videos, especially when I'm building or just playing the game for myself. I like having videos in the background, and really the longer the better, because I feel like I'm not gonna miss anything, and you know, I'm actually listening to what's going on. And as you see, I'm struggling with this Murphy bed because I'm trying to put it in here in a way where it sort of fits. I thought that was a pretty good swatch, but kind of the style of the whole sort of space, it honestly didn't really work. So I'm happy in the end when I decided that I wanted to move this build somewhere else where it would just work a lot better. Again, kind of coming back out to the actual reception area. I wanted it again to feel comfortable, but I thought maybe not too comfortable out here, because who would be sitting out here? Potential, I don't know, employees, like new hires, maybe clients, new clients, maybe not. I would imagine that they would just sort of shuffle the clients on the inside and sit them on one of those couches. This space over here would be like office supply stuff. Didn't really have any other space to put it in. Even when I moved the build, it just didn't really fit anywhere else. As you, I'm trying to do that trick with the frames and the windows, and it worked. I really liked it. And putting up some more decoration. I can't honestly remember when it was I decided this was a bad idea to have it in this apartment building. I'm hopeful that I move it soon. But yeah, I have to say I don't have very many community builds on this channel. I think the only other community build that I have is the Magic Collective that I did for the Realm of Magic, replacing that kind of Realm of Magic build. And that's really it. I like community builds. I don't know, I'm always at a loss for what to do. I feel like my creative juices sort of, they dwindle a little bit when it comes to community builds. Like, you've seen some in my LPs, community builds that I've made, some bars, some restaurants, and things like that, that I really love. But that, again, I'm not a builder, so those were made after several attempts of trying to build something specific to my game. And I like using other people's builds, but there is sort of a sense of pride when you build something of your own and you feel like it looks really nice and you can put it in your game and you feel, I don't know, like a sense of ownership to it. And so, as you can see, I completely moved the build from the apartment block to the Starlight, I think it's called Starlight space, and I'm putting an elevator because I have to have an elevator. And because I set it up as a library, you'll see me put some things that libraries are supposed to have. But again, I think if you wanted to, you can make this a cafe. You just would have to add in the cafe. One thing, I don't normally like building on this lot or any of the penthouse lots because I have no idea what to do with the exterior. I think I want to say I just look on Pinterest to try and find some ideas. I think I like typed in penthouse office space and I still couldn't think of anything interesting, so I just did the most basic thing that I could think of. I figured, it's not gonna look that special on the outside, at least structure wise, but I could make it look special by decorating this outdoor space. And kind of my thought process for the outdoor space was to make it feel like an oasis. So I imagine the employers, they want their employees to be productive. They want their creative juices constantly flowing and want them to feel like when they come to work, they are in a sort of loving environment where creativity is encouraged. So they kind of like the Google space in California. I want it to feel like this is a place where ideas and that are 100% encouraged. So I wanted this outdoor space to feel like a huge oasis. When your creative juices are just not going, you come outside and you look at the city and then you come up with some really awesome ideas. Of course, putting it on this lot gave me the opportunity to expand this office space, which I would imagine would be the CEO or the president or just the boss's boss. And I added some more toilets. Like I said, I don't actually show you the toilets, but you'll see kind of what they look like. They'll sort of, really that one up in the top corner is how they all look like. Single stall, nothing really special. But I wanted this CEO's office to feel super luxurious and just sort of keeping with that minimalistic theme. Not too busy, but maybe this office does have a little bit more going on because, this is the big dog, right? This is the person with the purse strings and the person calling all the shots. And so I gave him a bar. Let's see, what else is in here? The own private bathroom. And I can't remember what I did with that space that's to the right of the bar. I feel like I did something with it. I want to say, I guess I did actually feature a full bathroom in here. Thought I cut all the bathrooms out. Oh well. Let's see, I think maybe I put in a wardrobe over there. Maybe, I don't know. I can't remember. But here I go, and I'm starting to work on the outside bit. Of course, I had to put in windows, and all of the windows and the exterior door are from Discovery University. No, they don't. Or no. Lies. They started off to be Discovery University. Or are they? That looks like Discovery University to me. The screen is really small, and I built this build a while ago, so some of the minor details elude me. No, they don't match the windows below, but that's okay. It didn't bother me as I was putting it together. It shouldn't bother me now. And again, I wanted this outdoor space to feel like an oasis, so why not have some turf, which I would imagine is what this is. It's not actual grass, but turf. I moved the entrance to it because I didn't want the elevator to be the focal point of that hallway. I wanted this outdoor space to be the focal point. Imagine clients coming off the elevator, looking to their left, looking out the door, and seeing this immaculate, amazing space, and them wanting to go out there and see what's going on. Really, when I did add a lot of like greenery and stuff, but the thought process was low maintenance. Needed low maintenance plants and flowers out here. Needed to feel very minimalistic. This isn't supposed to be it's supposed to be an oasis, but you don't want people to spend the entire day outside unless they're just working outside. So just kind of the bare minimum of plant work. These columns, I fought with them. I fought with this particular lot a lot, and you'll see every time I move the camera around, it kept floating down to the bottom of the build, and it took me a minute to figure out how to actually build on this lot, because I never do. I think the only time I've ever built, I bulldozed the lounge and I made this sort of restaurant pre-YouTube that in the end I didn't even really like, so I bulldozed it and put the lounge back because I didn't even like it myself. I wanted a water feature. I wish you could put a fountain on these, because obviously you could put a swimming pool, but then everybody's gonna want to swim in it. And so the only way I could prevent that from happening was putting a fence around it, which works, but it would also be nice if you could just put a fountain here. I know some fountains in the game you can make wishes, I want to say. I've seen other people do it in other videos, but I've never utilized it myself. I guess I could have put one of the big fountains out there, but I wanted to create my own. This space ended up working out fine. So just imagine that pool is a fountain. And then over here, I use some, like I said, simple shrubbery. And there we go, seeing the ground in the uptown. And I think about this time I realized, oh, if I do this with the camera, it will work. And I just put some chairs and some couches over here, just a space where if you want to come sit and have your meeting out here or brainstorm. Now you will see in the screenshots it's winter, because in this particular file it became winter, and I was crunched for time, so I didn't really have time to move it. And I wanted to feature the sim who I kind of made this entire build for. I wanted to put him somewhere in the screenshots, and I didn't want to move him out of the save file. So, but it's really pretty in the wintertime, actually. Even though there is a lot of snow covering a lot of this, it's still really beautiful. These chairs, or these tables, I should say, are from Tiny Living. And this is kind of where I thought, well, maybe if you're not utilizing this for a sort of pseudo workspace, you could utilize it for a party. And so a lot of businesses can host parties, or will host parties, so that's why those tables are there. Of course, they could also work out here when it's not snowing. And that's where I put in a bar, which that's why I say you could easily turn that into one of the cafe stands and make this build a cafe. That way children won't populate it if you don't want children to populate on this build. I will say there seems to be very few venues where you can host a party. I don't think you can host a party at a library, which is what this is originally set up as. Let me know in the comments below. Obviously you can have a party at a nightclub, and I think you can have a party at a cafe, but then you'd have to add things. As far as a nightclub, you'd have to add things to this build that you might not want to add, even if you did decide to utilize it as a party. But I want to say I'm getting really close to the end of the build. I just put in some few finishing touches. I think about here is when I go and I look up at the little, caution thing up at the top to figure out what else do I need in this build to make it a functioning library. And I think at this point I just needed like some chess tables, and I add one behind one of the couches. Lighting, of course, is very important for this outdoor space, because what if you're working late and it's a beautiful summer day or summer evening and you just want to come outside and do a little bit of work. But again, what if you're hosting a big party for one of your clients? You want there to be a lot of beautiful lighting. I don't know. I get super creative when it comes to my gameplay and in The Sims, and I think that's what I just love about it, is that you could really just sort of play out whatever story you want. I don't know. I do. I never feel bored with this game because my brain just has so many stories in it that I just find things to do with it. I find stories that I want to tell, and I put them in the game, and it's fun. I did have to, you'll see me kind of add things that you'll probably think, did she already have that in there? Is because when I moved it, in order to remove the entire build, I had to delete walls. So when I delete some of those walls, I deleted some of the items that I had in here. So for instance, now that I'm looking, I deleted my really cool mirror inside a frame, which I guess I just didn't notice when I moved this build before, and I think in the end I put something else there. I'll probably, before I share it, go back and do my mirror in the frame. And here's where, I had to add bookcases, and which, could easily be reference things for employees to use, different ideas and stuff that they might want to utilize, previous ad campaigns, of that kind of thing, or just, ad stuff. I don't know. I don't work in an ad agency. I don't know what it is they do. I did put in those stereos in there because I thought you're in a photo shoot, you have loud music with a photographer screaming at you to make love to the camera. So I put that in there. Added a little bit more clutter, art and things like that to the CEOs. These right here, I love these. These are from City Living. Accolades, right? Things that they won awards for, as far as best advertising campaign from some kind of advertising award ceremony. I think I changed this setup, and I put in some shelves, and I add some trophies and things. I had a lot of fun with this build. A lot of fun. Probably more fun than I've ever had on building a community lot. It came together so easy. I guess because I just kept developing the story of who was using the space, how were they using it, and that's just kind of, this is what came out, and I hope you enjoy it. But again, like I said, I am coming up on the end of the build, so if you did like this video, please give it a happy little thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you think about this build. Is it something that you would use? Tell me how you build. Do you have a story in mind when you build either a community lot or a residential lot? Are you thinking about who's going to use this space, or do you just find a photo or something that you really like and just try to replicate it the best you can? Or is it just kind of whatever tickles your fancy that day, you put it up there? I would be interested to know, especially if you consider yourself a builder, which I do not, what your process is for building. That would be interesting to know. And if you want to be a part of the Southeast Squad, fam, team, whatever you want to call it, be sure to subscribe. I post every single week. You can follow me on Twitter. I did a couple of weeks ago offer game packs to some of my more loyal, active followers. I want to do that every once in a while whenever I can. I don't want to do it in a giveaway form. I want to give away packs to people who have been supportive of me and this channel and are active and that kind of thing. So you don't have to love every one of my videos. I just want to get to know you either through here, through Twitter, and so I feel comfortable in giving away packs. And I just kind of want to be able to do that periodically in the future. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're someone that doesn't really have all the packs or you can't really afford all the packs, please be active with me. Please become my friend on YouTube and Twitter so that you have the opportunity to get that. So subscribe. But again, we are coming up on the end of the build. And I've talked so much, you guys. Thanks for sticking around if you have. I don't know, write pickle in the comments if you watched all the way to the end, so that I know. But again, my name is CC, and I promise never to break your game. Bye.
This time of the year, I can't stop asking why I'm struggling to stay. It's a mystery why I'm here. I guess I'm just too tired of fighting. Would you say? As we're growing older, darling, understand it all. It's me that I'm fighting. Now that I see what is hiding underneath my skin, and I'm always sorry to bring you in my fall. Yeah, with my fall. Like this never end. We have to try and keep the mood up, stay. I know that sometimes we pretend to love each other like we